Today is the perfect day to write, so let's do just that. Turn off your phone, close the door, put on headphones and get your notebooks out. Why? Because we are going to write. Hello there, welcome back to the Virtual Writing Academy, where we learn by doing and by writing. This time around I have a bit of a special writing exercise for you. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit special. We're going to mesh together world building and character development by making things a little bit personal. But before I go anywhere, this video here is a pseudo virtual writing academy. It's not like a lecture where I tell you what you're supposed to know. We're gonna learn together by writing and by doing. It's as simple as this. I give you a writing exercise, a few musical recommendations to, ease up the act of writing, and you're gonna go and write. There's actual time in the video to force you to go out and write. And then we come back together and talk about our experiences. Yes, there's a little bit of an idea of a lesson hidden behind this exercise, but I won't tell you what it is until the end. Why? Because the best learning is done by doing. So go grab your notebook or open up your writing software of choice. You can minimize this video if you like. I'll tell you when to bring it back up. In the meantime, let's go right into today's musical recommendations. I have a couple of really special things today. Least of which is actually the first one. My first recommendation is a writing playlist by yours truly called After the Bomb. After the Bomb is usually a dystopian / apocalyptic sort of theme, or a post-apocalyptic sort of a playlist. And while it does have that really heavy sense of desolation, it's also rather personal. I have a couple of tracks in there from The Last of Us, and I think it really does give it a nice punch of personality, if you may, but it makes it seem really personal. That sense of desolation, I think, can echo with someone traversing a wasteland, or with somebody kind of looking back on their life and on their own regrets. So, yeah, I have tons of writing playlists. I have them on atrix.com/mkieran. Link in the description below. Go check them out. Now, I've been really excited ever since I rebooted the Virtual Writing Academy, because it's given me a chance to kind of showcase really awesome tracks. And today's track is literally nothing but that. Today I recommend Steer by Theophany. Theophany has an awesome album that remixes a bunch of tracks from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, and Steer is here because it's not only personal, kind of a sentimental song, incredibly sad, a dark, sad remix to a song that was already pretty sad. Really effective. And not only that, because I know that I give tracks, and people always wonder, I'm like, Max, do you actually write to these? And I do. I recently, last month, I wrote an entire book, like 50k words, and I wrote them like a huge chunk. This was the main theme to that book. I literally wrote half of that book to Steer. And in case you were wondering, by the way, down in the description below I have 2 links for this particular song. You can go listen to it on repeat. It basically repeats the song in the background. You don't have to worry about it. Or you can go to their official Bandcamp page and check out the download links. You can get this entire album. It's actually really good. Songs that I recommend from this album, I recommend Time's End, really dark. And the other one that I really do like is Healing the Great Fairy. It's just kind of a really sentimental track. Again, if you know me in real life, or if you have heard, my other vlogs, I love Majora's Mask. It is my favorite Legend of Zelda game, and Theophany did a fantastic job remixing all of these tracks. Fangirling out of the way, all the links for all these songs and playlists can be found in the description below, so go check them out. In the time being, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to get ready, to get your music, to get your software and your notebook, and get ready. Close the door, put on headphones, all of the spiel. I'm going to count backwards from 5, and when I hit 1, I'm going to assume that you have unpaused the video and you're ready to go, okay? I am going to assume that you are ready to move on. Before anything though, allow me to give you the formal disclaimer and remind you that you're not only allowed, but encouraged to use your own characters and settings for today's exercise. You can even go beyond the 10-minute time limit. Just make sure to come back once you're done. So, you got your writing stuffs, you got your music, you know what to do. Let's dive right in. Today's writing exercise is called Personal Reasons. You will have 10 minutes to write from the point of view of a character as they talk with a friend about the town they live in. The catch? Their town is known across the country for one very specific reason. Double catch, this character hates this town. Allow me to repeat myself. You're gonna have 10 whole minutes to write from the point of view of a character as they're having a chat with one of their friends about the town they live in. The catch? This town is known for something very particular. Whether it is good or bad, we know one thing for certain. Double catch, this character, this point of view character, hates this town. Today's exercise is a little bit special. I want you to enter the mind of someone who lives in a place that is known for something, whether it is good, whether it is bad, whether it is fame or infamy. This character has lived here, has experienced this. Yes, this character has existed in this place, in this town, and so has their friend. And they both know this truth, whether it is the fame that they have gained because of the town's fame or the infamy that comes with it. Explore the point of view of a character who despises the place they live in. Why is that? There is a quote by Jorge Luis Borges that I wanted to keep in mind. He said that he didn't know who he really was because he was in reality all the books he had read, all the women he had loved, and all the places he had been to. What does this place mean to your character? Today, I want you to dig deep. Today, I want you to enter the mind of a character who despises the place they live in, the place they may have spent the entirety of their life in. Why is this? This is not a question of world building, a question of character development. It's a question of answering the source of hate. Where did this hate begin? Where did it start? And where is it going? Because remember that hate can't bring anything good from it. Hate can only burn and cause even more pain and even more sorrow that comes with it. But those are all questions that you are going to have to answer for yourself. And as always, I'm not going to send you on this journey on your own. I am going to give you the first line of the story, so you don't have to worry about getting it right. This story begins like this. But if you hate it so much, why are you still here? Now go, writerly friend. Only you can write this story. Seek to enter the mind of this character and seek to find, above all, not only the source of the hate, its past, but also its future. 60 seconds remaining. Alright, time's up, pencils down, fingers off the keyboard. If you minimize this video, please bring it back up, and now let's just take a deep breath. I have to be honest, today's exercise is a little strange. It's more strange the more you stare at it, because you have to wonder, why did I make you do this? Why did I make you write this? And there are a couple of things that I want you to keep in mind. But I will begin with a big statement as a way to frame where I'm going with this, okay? I believe that 99.9% of all world building doesn't actually make it into the book. And it shouldn't. And now, allow me to extrapolate. In my experience, and of course remember that as with anything on this end slate, I'm talking about my opinion, my advice, and what works for me. Don't take it as gospel, take it as the ramblings of a person who looks like this. Now, in my experience, I found that a lot of world building, and really like most of world building, doesn't actually make it on the page. And that's actually a good thing. Why do I think that it's a good thing that most world building doesn't actually make it into the actual book? Well, I think it's actually a good thing because of a couple of elements. The first of all is that there comes a point in which world building becomes a lot of dates and numbers and just general history. And while that is cool to be able to visualize the world and to understand the way that it came to be, there comes a point in which it stops being relevant to the moments at hand. I think I've used this example in the past forever, but it's the idea of if you were stating a story in Paris, you would never explain how Paris came to be as a city, because how Paris came to be as a city is not important. What matters is that this city exists here, this city is about this, and that's all that matters in relevance to what's going on in the story. And I honestly feel that kind of encapsulates how I feel about world building inside of the book itself. I keep to only the things that are actually relevant to the story. Now, don't get me wrong, I get that a lot of people kind of like recoil at the idea of that, but to me, in my own personal history, I used to do a lot of world building, and there came a point where I started wanting to like pour all, and visualize me pouring a giant bucket of world building into the book because I had gone all of the way to do all of this hard work and I wanted to make it worth it. And I realized that was less about the story and more about me and my own satisfaction. And I am honest enough to admit that. I'm honest enough to admit that there came a point where I was basically pouring world building into my stories because I didn't want to waste it. Because I went all of this length to actually like write it and come up with it, and I didn't want it to go to waste. And I realized rather quickly, thanks to feedback, that I was doing nothing but just fluffing up my book. And of course, I'm not saying that it is a bad thing inherently, but what I'm saying is that as I became more comfortable with editing and with cutting away all of that hard work, I began to focus more and more and more on creating a final polished product, something that I would be proud of, and something that could stand on its own, and something that was, polished and finished and trimmed. And there came a point when I realized that, hey, if the reader doesn't need to know these 20 pages of backstory, then those 20 pages don't need to be here. If they're not relevant to the story, then they don't have to be there. Now, that's a really long-winded way to get here, to this point on world building, but why did I make you write this exercise? What does this have to do with the exercise? Well, I think there are two types of world building out there. The world building that is relevant to a character, and the world building that is not. And I think you can understand which of those two types of world building actually makes it into the story and which is actually meaningful to the story. The entire point of this exercise was to ground character relationship and character development to their surroundings. And I honestly feel that is the best type of world building out there, because as opposed to giving the reader history and facts, and the goblins fought the dwarves in this year, and then they fought again, and they fought a couple more times, because that's what dwarves and goblins do. Instead, you tell them, hey, this character feels like this about this town because of this. And I don't know about you, but that feels more meaningful to me. It feels more meaningful when I hear somebody or I experience somebody telling me why they hate or they enjoy or that they despise or they love a place or something, as opposed to being told what this place is about. Like, I don't know how Paris came to be, I have no idea how Paris was even founded, but if a character explained to me, in their own words, why they love that city, I could as well fall in love with that city. Because it's not about facts. It's not about facts. It's about character and making things matter. Or you could say, making things personal. Now, with that mic drop out of the way, what do I want you to take from this video? Well, as opposed to making you worry about world building and all those other things, that's not really the point of this video. The point of this video is that I want you to keep in mind the relationships between your places, your timelines, your historical elements, and your characters. What do those things mean to them? And primarily with places, because places are kind of the stage in which your story takes place, what do they mean to your character? What is their relationship? Do they love them? Do they hate them? And, you know, a little bit of an extra story seed out there. What would your character do if that place disappeared? If that place vanished from the face of the earth? If it was destroyed and if it could never come back? These are all important things to keep in mind. Again, places and locations in your story are the stage in which the story takes place, and they are meaningful. I don't think their entire story is meaningful, but I think their connection to the characters is the most meaningful thing there is. But then again, that's just how I feel about things. For me, story is all about characters, and I hope that if anything I gave you another point of view and a fun exercise to write. But yes, I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you have any sort of feedback or comments or ideas for future episodes, feel free to gather into the comments below and let me know. And of course, if you would like even more writing advice, positivity, and prompts, you can head over to my official writing blog over at maxkieran.tumblr.com. Thank you for watching, thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me, and I'll be seeing you soon!